Good morning. It takes a few minutes for everybody to get into the room, so we'll get started in just a few minutes. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started as it's 11:32, and with us today we have Ada Ellerbrock with Coleman Professional Services for our Chamber University program that's brought to you by Shakely and Perry ProTech. And this month we are going to be talking about mental health and how it is essential for your health. And one of the reasons why we wanted to ask Ada as the Regional Development Executive for Coleman Professional Services to join us this month is because May is actually Mental Health Month. And we're very excited to have you, Ada. So thank you for joining us. This session is recorded, so you will receive a link after the program. And Ada, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera and I'm going to watch the Q&A. So I will help facilitate that for you as well. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Nicole. Thank you to Shakely and Perry ProTech for making this event possible so we can have our area leaders come in and educate our chamber members. I'm going to do my best to tell you about mental health and how it is essential for your health. This is a little different for me since I don't have an audience. So I have actually, it's like when I was a kid and I would put teddy bears and stuff up so I could have something to practice the speech for. So I have my important people and their pictures over here. So if you see me glance, it's just me getting a calming, soothing feeling from them smiling at me. But we're going to talk today about mental health is essential health. And once again, my name is Ada Ellerbrock. I am the Regional Development Executive for Coleman Professional Services and AAH. Now, AAH is not a misspelling of my name. We will have to find if Darke County will come in sometime so we can have my full name, but it does stand for Allen, Auglaize, and Hardin County. So we cover this area for Coleman Professional Services. Now, then we have several counties that are served over on the other side of the state, but we've been here since 2011 to help bring mental health addiction services for our community. Now, I'm going to play a game. So you guys are gonna have to stay involved throughout this whole session today. And I'm going to have you play as far as emailing me. I'm going to be providing some resources and I wanna know if you guys would like them. And I need you to email me at Ada, which is adah.ellerbrock@colemanservices.org. And I bet one of the girls will put that in the chat for me. And by emailing me and letting me know what resources you want, you will have a chance to win a $20 Dash and Joey's gift card when this is all over. And what is mental health? So mental health, as defined by the mentalhealth.gov, is our emotional, psychological, and our social well-being. It affects how we think, it affects how we act. It also helps us to determine how we handle stress and relate to others when we make our choices. Positive mental health allows one to realize their full potential. It also allows them to cope with stressors in life. And then also helps them work productively and then also make meaningful contributions to their community. Now, when mental health isn't all in the positive and it's not running smoothly, it is now considered a mental illness. Now, mental illness is defined by psychiatry.org as a health condition involving changes in the emotion, thinking, and behavior, or a combination how we work. And then they also are associated with distressors and problems that are functioning in social, work, or family activities. Now, some factors can contribute to your mental illness, and it could be biological factors. It also could be our life experiences, or if you've experienced trauma or abuse. And also it can be affected by your family history and then how those relate to your mental health. Now, if we look at mental health when it comes by the numbers, there's a lot of things that we can look at for stats. One, most important is 1 in 5 adults experience some form of mental illness in their lifetime. Now, why mental illness can occur at every age, it is found that 3/4 of all mental illnesses begin around age 24. Now, Also, 1 in 12 are diagnosed with a substance use disorder in addition to a mental disorder. And in this past November, the CDC reported that 44% of Americans were dealing with either depression or anxiety. And of course, there's a pandemic happening, and that is what helped brought out some of that trauma that we have experienced in our life that brought that on. Now, there's also another important stat, and that is it estimates our estimates suggest that only half of the people with mental illness receive some kind of treatment. So I want to help today on find what those treatments are and how can people find those. Now, there's an array of mental illnesses that are out there. They can range from anxiety disorders, sort of feeling anxious right now, behavioral disorders, eating disorders, mental health and substance use disorders. It could also be a mood disorder, personality disorders, suicidal behaviors, or also, ones I mentioned before, trauma and stress related disorders. Now, those aren't all of them, but that is how we can group some of them and how we can communicate about them. Now, as you guys know, the pandemic that brought on some effects on our. We saw, like I said, the 44% experienced some anxiety or depression symptoms during the pandemic. And as you see, it's still going on. I just believe that this second wave of the pandemic isn't going to be one of the variants, but it's going to be the effects of mental illness and what has happened with that. Now, some of the effects of the anxiety and depression have been fear about the virus, financial distress, decrease in how we communicate or how we socialize with people, also decrease or an adjustment in how we work. As you can see, I'm working from home, and that hasn't been easy for everyone. Also, an increase in isolation, and then adjusting to any change that has happened. Wearing a mask or going to the grocery store at a certain time, having to change our schedule affects how we feel on our mental health. And then also the idea of living with uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen next. Those all have factors that come into it. Now, there are some warning signs that you can see. You can check on yourself, or you can check on those that are around you that can be some alerts or some flares of maybe we need to talk about how our mental health is, and then maybe we need to look at getting some help. Now, some warning signs could be their eating or sleeping has changed. Maybe it's too little, or maybe it's too much. Also, they might be pulling away from usual activities, especially when it's a favorite activity. When you have someone that's in love with a hobby or a sport and they're just not interested anymore, that's a warning sign. Also, if their energy becomes too high or it comes too low, the feeling of just numbness or nothing matters. Also, having unexplained aches and pains. You don't know where they're coming from. And then also you could have some other factors come in, as we talked about the substance use disorders. Smoking could get involved, or drinking, using other drugs, or something, drinking more than usual. A feeling of unusually confused, forgetful, feeling edgy, being angry, getting upset quickly. Those are all things too. And then as a result, maybe yelling or fighting with your family and friends. When you see the experience of the extreme mood swings, that could be causing problems for the relationships. And also having persistent thoughts and memories that just can't get out of your head. Hearing voices or believing that things are not true. And also thinking of harming yourselves or harming others. And then having the inability to perform your daily task. So those are some warning signs. Once again, those are just some of them. There's more that you might see. And if you see someone who isn't acting how they normally act, that's a chance when you can say, hey, let's talk about how you're feeling and let's talk about your mental health. One thing that I'm glad that they added into doctor visits, especially routine visits, when I take my kids for their physicals for sports, they have a routine mental health check and to see how things are going. So I'm so glad that they've added that in to how they take care of the whole health of a person. There are some ways that you can achieve some positive mental health in any situation, whether you have been diagnosed or you feel like just something's not right at this moment, or you're going through a pandemic. And some of them is, if you do need the help, seek out the help. And I'll give you some ideas of where to get that help in our communities, but get the professional help if it's needed. Connect with others. Sometimes talking it out with a friend or a coworker or a boss might help to relieve some of that mental tension. Then being grateful and staying positive. Sometimes it's just finding the simple things like I woke up today. Eating healthy and exercise is a great way to keep yourself in a positive mental health. And then meditation, not good with yoga and I'm not good with meditating. If most people know me, I'm on the go and I want things fast. But taking some time out for yourself and calming the mind is very helpful in finding positive mental health. And then the idea of helping someone else, it makes you feel good. You know, when you go through the drive-through and you pay it forward or actually pay it behind, that's one way that you can have that positive mental health and helping yourself feel good. Getting enough sleep. That is very key in helping with your mental health. It shuts down your brain for a little bit. Sometimes my dreams don't make it seem like I'm shutting down my brain, but making sure you have the 8 to 9 hours of sleep is very helpful with positive mental health. And in developing some positive coping skills. I do like to have wine, but wine is not a good coping skill when it comes to finding positive mental health. So finding something positive. Throughout the pandemic, I created a new hobby. I didn't create it. I actually bought it off of Amazon, but I very much enjoy doing diamond paintings. It was a way to keep my mind busy, but also creating something beautiful in the end. And then also creating some new routines. At the beginning of this time last year, my kids and I would go on daily walks. Well, now that things have opened up, now they're in track and they're in softball and bowling. I don't have those same routines. So now it's just those routines again. So finding something to keep yourself busy and keep yourself happy. Now, we've come a long way when it's started with how we treated mental illness. And the way we did that before is they would get locked up. You'd be put into a mental institution and you would be treated with some very, to me, outlandish ways that they would help with mental health. It would be ice baths or shock treatments. We, once again, have come a long way. They used to be in individual rooms where they were locked up and they couldn't leave. So back in 1950s, they created something to help as a new hope for it. So I'm going to read to you on what has become a symbol of hope. So during the early days of the mental health treatment, the asylums, they often restrained people with shackles and iron chains around their ankles and their wrist. With better understanding of treatments and ways that we can help people, they decided to get rid of this cruel practice and eventually it stopped. So in the early 1950s, Mental Health America issued a call out to all the asylums across the country, and they asked them to discard the shackles and the chains. So then on April 13th, so just 2 years ago, we got to celebrate that in 1953 at the McShane Bell Foundry in Baltimore, Maryland. Mental Health America melted down all of the inhumane bindings and recasted them into a sign of hope, as in the mental health bell. So when you see people talk about mental health and you find a bell that is part of their celebrating of it and how they're going to go in the recovery, it is the mental health bell back in 1953 that was created from the ways that weren't helpful when it came to helping with mental health. Now, that is a good symbol, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. Now, one of the hardest things that comes across when it comes to mental health is the stigma that's associated with it. If someone were to talk about their mental health, they may feel ashamed. They may feel like, okay, I can't talk about it openly or freely, or I might be looked at differently, I might be treated differently. The stigmas associated with mental health issues have come from misguided views that have been brought forth years after years. And then early beliefs about what cause mental health, such as demonic or spiritual possessions, that led to the caution and fear in how we handled mental health or someone that was dealing with a mental illness. So in a way, society has stereotyped all these views about mental illness and it's how it affects people. Now, the role of the media is also played into it. The movies, the TV shows, they all show someone who has been diagnosed as mentally disabled, or they are mentally, they have a mental illness, as someone who is violent and someone who is a criminal and they're dangerous. And that's not the case. So we want to help break that stigma, and there's some ways that you can help. Now, some of the common stigmas are People who are mentally ill, as I mentioned before, are dangerous, and they're not. Also, mental health problems don't affect children or teens. It very much does. Now, people are usually told to just snap out of it. I know I've never asked anyone who's had a broken leg or anything broken or cancer or diabetes to just snap out of it. And the same can't be true then for mental illness. Also, it's a common stigma is addiction is not a disease. It is. Some people think it's just a lack of willpower and they're just making the wrong choices. When people are going through a mental illness, they're finding ways to cope, as I mentioned before, and most of them aren't healthy. So that's where the addictions come into play. So usually when you see someone, not everyone with mental illness has an addiction disorder, but usually a substance use disorder comes in line with an addiction or with a mental illness. Also, it's believed that individuals with mental health problems can't recover. Recover is the hope is the end, the process when it comes to helping with mental illness. It is definitely something recover. You might see someone have to go through it again, just like cancer. It may come back. Same thing. If someone's fallen out of recovery, they're able to get back. It is the support and those around them, and also the different treatments that are going to help them to get there. Also, it's believed that therapy is a waste of time, and not at all. That's one of many ways that we can help to help with our mental illness. And also, it's said that it's impossible to prevent mental health problems. That's not true as well. There's many ways that we can help to, like we mentioned before, having a positive mindset, speaking positively around others, setting it up in your workplace. Those are all ways that we can help prevent having some mental health problems. Some, they're all not already built in you. Some, they come with the environment, as we mentioned before, like trauma. That we have some ways that we can break the stigma, and we're going to need your help. Some ways that we can help combat mental health stigmas is to openly talk about mental health. It may not be that you have a full diagnosis of a mental illness, but you may not be feeling on that positive mental health. And talk about it. Feel free to be able to talk to someone, find someone that you can openly talk about it and you can trust in them. So educate yourself and others about mental health. And I have some cool ways that you guys can email me about, and I can send those resources for you. Also, be conscious of your language. Telling someone, "Oh, that's crazy," or "Oh, I'm just OCD," or "I have ADHD." Those are all stigmas that are actually mental illnesses that are being put on something that may not be a mental illness, or saying someone because they have a lot of mood swings that they're bipolar. Make sure that as you're speaking that you get some of those negative stigmas out of your language. Also, be empathetic and compassionate to those living with mental illness. It's not a choice. It is something that they're living with and they're working on managing it. So find ways that you can help support them. Also, stand up against the ways that people have been living with mental illness and how they're portrayed in the media. Try not to watch those shows or try to put a positive spin. I know if my kids would say something like, "That's so crazy," and I'm like, keep in mind, what are you trying to say this is? Is it different than normal? Or, what are you trying to say? So get those verbiages out of there and try to stay away from some of those shows that are putting the negative stigmas out there. Also, be an advocate for mental health reform, like they did years ago, and they got rid of the whole insane asylum idea, and the mental health boards were created so they can finally treat what's happening in their communities. Not every community is the same. Not everything happens the same with each community at every time. So you can't just put a one size fits all on how you treat mental illness. Also, the mental health stigmas will not simply just go away on their own, but if we work together as a community of advocates, we can change the way mental illness is perceived in our society. One way we can do that, as Nicole had mentioned before, is to help celebrate Mental Health Month. Now, Mental Health Month is in May, and I have some ways that you can get involved with that. We talked about this last year, and it helped make an impact on our community. I mentioned the Mental Health Board. Those were created in order to help serve the communities the way they needed to be served. Well, one way that our Mental Health Board has done for Allen, Allways, and Hardin is they created a mental health screening. Of course, you can take some of the national ones that are out there, and you may have seen them on TV or maybe while you're at your doctor's office. I highly encourage you to do the mental health screening often, regularly, and do the one that's in your local area. By doing that, you're sending a bat signal in a way over to your mental health board saying, these are the issues that I'm dealing with right now. And when they see several people having that same type of thing, they're able to get education and information out about that without them being able to go and knock on everyone's door and say, hey, how are you feeling? And what are you experiencing right now? They don't know. But the mental health screenings help them to say, okay, we need to get some information out about anxiety right now. Or maybe they see a spike in gambling, not because there's an increase on lottery ticket sales, but people are mentioning to it, like, I'm struggling with this and I need some help. And they're able to get some resources out there about those things. So you can educate yourself about your own mental health by taking a mental health screening. And I encourage it. You don't just do it in May, do it throughout the year. Things change. There's season that will be different for you and how you feel on your mental health. So if you are wanting to take the mental health screening, please open up your email browser right now, put in ada.ellerbrock@colemanservices.org, and I want you to start creating a list, all these resources that you want. So if you want the screening, say, please send me the screening link and I'll get that over. You can simply go to wecarepeople.org and get the mental health screening. Click on the link there. You can take one that's maybe just related to a feeling that maybe you're depressed or maybe you're anxious, or you can take the full health screening. Another way you can help is by downloading the mental health toolkit. So mental health month, we have the mental health association that has put out a toolkit that you can use in your place of work, your place of worship, maybe the gym that you go to. Share it with those around you and share the resources that they have. Once again, if you want that link for that, please tell me I want the tool, and I will send you the toolkit for that. Now, some of the topics that they're talking about this year, and they're doing almost a repeat of what they did last year. Last year they did tools to thrive, and they're doing it again, and they've tweaked them based on how we're living right now and what we're going through. And that the 6 topics that they've put into this toolkit are adapting after trauma and stress, also processing big changes, getting out of thinking traps, that spiral where you're going to think about maybe the negative thoughts and they keep on making it bigger, like, okay, maybe this is going to happen and then it could turn into this. Get out of those thinking traps. Also, radical acceptance, taking time for yourself, and dealing with anger and frustration. These tools are tools that you can share maybe through your human resource department, or maybe putting it up on the bulletin boards while you're at work. These are great resources that you can share with others and help to create that positive mental health. Another way to help with mental health month, and then also all year long, is I need you to memorize and save the Hope Line in your phone. The Hope Line is our resource, once again, locally, just like the mental health screening, that's going to get you connected to someone that's going to help you with your mental illness or maybe a crisis at the moment here in our community. It's not a national one where you're going to be sent and then it's down here and here. It's located here. It's managed by our Coleman employees, and it's 1-800-567-HOPE. So that's 1-800-567-4673. Or if you're like the kids and you want to text, you can also text the Hope Line, and that's where you're going to text HOPE to 741-741. And I urge you to please put that in your phone and also get it memorized. So 1-800-567-HOPE. Or if you want an easy way to remember it, you can get a pop socket from me for the back of your phone, or a magnet that you can put on your fridge. So just like when I was a kid and we had the 911 number up there, and also our local fire department and also the local police department, all those emergency numbers we had on our refrigerator, this is one of those emergency numbers that you want on there as well. So once again, if you want a pop socket or a magnet, email me and let me know that. And then also with Mental Health Month, familiarize yourself with those that are in the community that are resources. Connect with them and also find ways that you can support them. There's so many different local agencies, and our mental health board has created this great 2-page document that has all of the agencies, letting you know what they take care of, who they serve. Coleman, we serve those that are 18 and older. And we have other services that are going to help those, and we don't specialize in that. So in order to point you in the right direction, if you would like to know what agency takes care of who and what they do, then let me know in an email saying I would like the document of our agencies in our area. We have PASS, we have the Family Resource Center. There's so many resources out there that could use the support from the community. It could be monetarily, of course, through donations. It could be through volunteering your time, serving on one of their boards, or just spreading the word that there's help out there. Coming up in May 15th from 11 to 1, there's a mental health fair at the mall. So if you want to see and talk to them and find out ways that you can get involved, attend the health fair. It's a couple hours where you can see who's involved in our area and how you can help. And then another way, as you see, I'm wearing green. And if anyone saw my post right prior to this, I have some pretty cool green shoes on. And we have a program coming up for the month of May called Be Seen Wearing Green. Now, once again, May is Mental Health Month, and green is the mental health color. So when you try to raise awareness for mental health, we're wearing wristbands that have that, or wear the color green. So what we're doing with Coleman Professional Services, we're asking for individuals to be champions, to help break the stigma and say, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to help those that are struggling with mental illness and break those stigmas. So I'm looking for some champions that would be interested in standing up for those and wearing green throughout the month of May. Now, don't worry if you don't have a whole closet full of green. We do have some wristbands to give you to still keep that color going, and also a very cool Be Seen Wearing Green button that you can wear as well. We have, I think, around 20 plus champions right now that have already said, yes, I would like to help stand up for the importance of mental health and the awareness of mental illness that have joined us in this cause. So if you would like to be a champion, put in that email. I would like to be a Be Seen Wearing Green champion. Or if you'd like to support one, let me know and I can send you a list of who's going to be wearing green. And then if, I guess, like in St. Patrick's Day, if you don't see them wearing green, you can pinch them. And another way that you can help support that is throughout the month of May, Chad over at Dash and Joey's has agreed that if you purchase any of his green smoothies or green juices, which Matrix is green and it is my favorite, he will give part of those proceeds back to Coleman Professional Service to help serve our clients. A little bit of information about our clients. A lot of those that we serve right now, they don't have the ability to always take care of their mental health financially. And that's where we come into play, and why positions like mine have been created in order to help find those that would like to support others when they're not in this situation where they can help afford the mental health services, where we come into play. 71% of our clients make an income around $16,000 a year, and that's not going to help to provide those services. 48% of them make $6,000 or less. It's because of our sponsors and our supporters on why they're able to get served and they're able to foster their recovery, build their independence, and change their destiny. And I thank all of our supporters that have done that. So I'm going to come up with some questions or ask you if you guys have any questions. And before I do that, I'm going to give you a reminder of what you need to contact me for and how you can win the $20 Dash and Joey's gift card. So if you send me one of these things and request one of these items from me, you'll be entered into a drawing for this. So keep in mind, we have the link for the mental health survey. Let me know if you'd like that. Let me know if you would like the link to the mental health toolkit. Once again, you can share that with family, friends, coworkers, get it with everyone that you're involved with. Let me know if you want one of the pop sockets with the Hope line on it, or a magnet, so it's easily available for you at all times. And then if you want to know the agencies that are in our area and how you can help and support them, and you want that document, let me know and I'll send that to you. And last, if you want to be seen wearing green during the month of May, or if you'd like to support someone in that cause, please let me know if you'd like to do that as well. So as always, I talked pretty fast. So Nicole, if I could have your assistance, if there was any questions.
Absolutely. I will help facilitate the Q&A in the chat box. So if you have some questions for Ada, please, raise your hand or type them in the chat box. And like she had mentioned, she's given you her email address. So if you don't feel comfortable asking online, that's completely fine. You could send her an email, which is completely confidential. You will receive a copy of this recording that you can share with your team. And also you will receive the email, the list that she had just given you with the survey, the toolkit, the pop socket request, wear green request, agencies in our area, and ways that you could support. Also, the reminder of the mental health fair that will be held at the Lima Mall on May 15th. And, I honestly, Ada, I'm not seeing anybody with any questions right now. So as I'm talking, I'm giving them time to type, because I'm sure if they have questions, then they'll let us know. And Audra, thank you for being here today. Meditation does help people sleep if you can actually get your brain to stop. So thank you so much, Ada, for your information today. It is true that mental health is essential health to not only our, us as individuals, but our community as well. So thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. And, there are programs available as well through insurance. If your company does offer insurance, that will help with the services that Coleman and the resources that she will provide as well. And if, I can tell you the Chamber offers the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield program, and they have a wonderful mental health program as well attached to that. So if you have questions, you can give either myself a call about that, or even Ada. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And thank you, ParaProtech and Shakely, for allowing us to offer this program online to our community.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, Ada. And thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.